board will come to order, August 25th. Cameras on. Joanne, could you please do a roll call of officers and board members?
This is only a test of the fire alarm system. This is only a test of the fire alarm system. While this is being verified, please leave the building by the nearest exit. Do not use the elevator.
Okay. In between all that. All right, Peter Amato,
Present.
Diane Alderman,
A fire
Kate
emergency
Benoit,
has been reported in the building. While this is being verified, please leave the building by the nearest exit. Do not
Michael
use
Bunt,
the elevators.
Marilyn Curtis, Maureen DeViguer,
Here.
Bruce Dries, David Fornes,
Here.
May I have your
George
attention,
Franklin,
please? A fire emergency has been reported in the building.
Yes.
While
Dan
this is being
Gladstone,
verified,
Yeah.
please leave the building by the nearest exit. Do not use the elevator.
Richard Handelsman,
Here.
Laura Henley,
Here.
Jackie Klein, Kelly Jansen,
Here.
Bobby Levin,
Here.
Joyce Reese.
Yes.
I don't, Flora Simpson, not here. Jeffrey Skeen. I don't see him. Jerry Sutowski.
Here.
Gloria Tart.
Yeah.
And Mary Walsh.
Here.
And we have a quorum. Of the officers, is David Israel on? No. Edward Grossman is here. Dom Grenaggio is not. Stuart Richland.
Here.
Fausto Fabro.
Here.
David Boaz.
Yes.
And I'm here. So we definitely have a quorum.
Patricia.
Patricia. Yeah, I checked you in.
Okay.
You checked it in.
Oh, thank you. Very good. We have a
Thank you.
quorum.
We have a quorum.
I know you spent the last 20 minutes reading the minutes. I need a motion to
Motion
accept.
to accept. Second.
Okay.
Excuse me.
Are there any corrections to the minutes?
Yes.
Go ahead.
Very quickly on.
Talk into, sorry, there's no mic. Talk loud. Where's the microphone? There aren't any.
There's one
Right.
right
Very
there.
quickly
Wait.
on the line describing what I said.
Thank you. On the line describing what I said at the last meeting, it is a financial report. I'm a treasurer and I was talking about multi-million dollars and an item that's been going on for 100 years here, and therefore reading numbers is not the only function that a treasurer does. The assets and the liabilities are part of what I look at, and that certainly is an asset. So I would like that corrected to say what I said, and not that it's not a financial report.
I have a motion, I have a second. All in favor of accepting the minutes as presented?
Aye.
Any opposed?
Yes.
One opposed. One opposed. Thank you.
A discussion.
About the minutes?
No, about
I just asked if there was any corrections.
what a financial report is.
Well, we'll discuss that later. I want to get through the business part of it.
All right.
Everybody should know what a financial report is.
All
They
right.
don't.
Okay. We'll start off with the most interesting part of the day. We're going to start off with our CAM report.
Great.
Donald, you're up.
Unprepared as usual.
Good
Good morning, everyone. Can you guys hear me?
Thank you.
All right, real quick, because I don't have much. Okay. Now I can whisper. We've got a few gators crawling around. I think we have at least 3. The trapper's been unable to catch them, and the permit ran out. So the new permit will take effect for the 1st of September, and it's gonna be a push to try to catch these gators. Kevin wants me to let everyone know that they're gonna be doing gator hunting at night along the shoreline with flashlights and whatnot. So we'll put a bulletin out, but you guys can let your buildings know. If you see a guy in the middle of the night with a spotlight, he's not a peeping Tom, he's the gator catcher. So that's one thing. The other thing I got going on is, in addition to South Canal, which you guys know about, the efforts there, we're now trying to straighten out North Canal, which is at the top of the property. Our attorney, Rod Tennyson, has hired, with our approval, a specialist attorney to straighten out some of the ownership issues there. Turns out Yuko owns none of it, and that has to get straightened out. The attorney is a previous general counsel for Lake Worth, South Florida Water Management District. So he's a specialist in drainage, and hopefully that'll help us get some resolution to that situation, one way or the other. Other than that, it's potholes and holes in the fence. So if you guys got anything for me, please, that's why I'm here.
Donald,
Hi.
Who owns that property?
Good question. It's a mess. If you go onto PAPA, the property appraiser's website, and start clicking on parcels, the boxes, you're going to find that there is one long parcel that stretches from Haverhill Hill Road all the way over to the Turnpike, and nobody owns it. It's what I've never seen a box that you can click on and it comes up blank. Turns out that's an old county roadway easement. Community Drive was supposed to continue all the way to Jog Road, and it never happened. So we got that going on. Secondly, much of the south and north part of the canal is owned by a defunct company called Century Utilities. Century Utilities was owned by the developer, and that was the company that put in the potable water delivery system, the sewage, and the sewage treatment plant back in the 60s and 70s. In the 80s, Mr. Levy sold that entity to Palm Beach County Water Utilities. And they took ownership of the system, but they never took ownership or responsibility for the canal, and that's because that's not their business, right? So that's another, ultimately, the shortcut to this is to get the county to take ownership and responsibility of the strip, and then from there, they would decide who gets it. Is it the county engineering department? Is it Lake Worth Drainage District? Or is it Palm Beach County Water Utilities? Well, so far, we've got solid no's from Lake Worth Drainage District, and so this is lawyer work. They're gonna have to, it's messy. Problem is that even if we want it, even if you guys voted right now, hell with it, $1 million, we got it, let's dredge the canal. We can't even pull a permit, it's not our property. Yet, the possible danger, the damage that could happen if that canal hits a big storm and can't accommodate it and overflows, all of that is our responsibility, right? We're gonna have to deal with the aftermath if there's property damage, if there's loss of life. So it's kind of something we inherited, and we're paying attention to it now, because storms are becoming more frequent and more intense, so it's important. So that's the question. Mary, go ahead.
I know iguanas aren't harmful, but they are if they get in water. And the one at Camden Pool stands right up on the ledge and walks around the pool. If he goes in, they have salmonella and we can all get sick. So
He pays his assessments. He's entitled. He pays his
He
assessments.
does?
Look, anything that, and if you have an iguana at the pool, that's WPRS responsibility to get rid of them. It's my understanding that they do have a trapper that takes care of it. So I'll make a note. I'll let Eva know, and she'll go from there. Hi, Marilyn.
Do I take from your discussion about the North Canal that we would like to own it, or it might be in our best interest to have that be our responsibility, so that we can do what we want?
The advice we're getting from Rod, and Rod is I mean, if there's anything Rod is an expert in, is in drainage. He named his kid Noah, all right? Stormwater is really his specialty. He would like to run out any options that would end up with the county or the drainage district taking responsibility for it. Because you guys all pay in, we all pay into that, right? So, in a way, we kind of could get that service through our tax payments, right? He wants to run all of those down as much as possible. But personally, you want my opinion, I think at the end of the day, we're gonna wind up somehow getting title to this strip and getting the job done. But it behooves us to run down any opportunity to take it out, to not impact our budget
Okay,
directly.
thank you.
Donald, two-part question.
Sure.
Okay, when is the dredging of the South Canal starting? And two, you had a meeting after the delegate assembly last week with our, you know what I'm thinking of.
You're thinking of Mayor Weiss.
Yes, you had a meeting about the North Canal. What were the results of that meeting?
I just told you what those results were.
Okay.
Mayor Weiss is in our corner in this regard. He and Niels seem to think that the solution is for the county to take possession of it. Then it becomes a county internal problem over who takes care of it. So we'll see how far that goes. But yeah, I basically told you the content of the meeting.
Okay, and when does the dredging of the South Canal start?
I don't think we're anywhere imminent on that. There's a timeline of things that have to happen, and one of them is engineering reports on both sides. WGI for them and Simmons and White for us. I can tell you that the both parties have funded the special checking account. We're not going to call it an escrow account because we have sole control over it. I hand-delivered the easement agreement and the letter of support to their lawyer, Henry Handler, and now it clicks along. There's a set timeline. So we'll be dealing with Coulter Homes on that.
Okay, do you know what the timeline is?
I don't.
Okay.
I don't. A lot of this has to do with when, well, in the first place, they have to get final approval from the county. So we're kind of on, I would say the next zoning meeting in September would be when that happens, followed by the county commissioners meeting. It was put off for 1 month because of us. Now that we've given a letter of support and signed that agreement, Coulter Homes takes that to the county and says, okay, we're good, please approve the project. So that's kind of where we're at right now. Well, that's the other thing. Fausto just said we have to finish the quiet title action. Again, parts of those canals had ownership by defunct companies. One of them was Century Utilities. Part of the agreement is that Coulter Homes' lawyer, Henry Handler, is doing that for UCO at their expense. So right now, it's still, the work is still happening basically in the lawyer's office and the engineer's office. FP&L has been on the property. It started some infrastructure installations. And other than that, that's pretty much what I see going on.
Thanks, Tom.
Now that I'm thinking about it, there's one other thing I want you guys to know about. I'm hearing that the swimming pool in back of the medical building the project's about to start. I ran into WGI's engineer yesterday, and he was marking trees to be pulled out to make a clear path for the construction stuff. So that's all going to happen in the back of the medical building facing the clubhouse. People are going to see it happen, and you'll be able to answer. That's pretty much all I got. Hi, Richard.
Jerry, to answer part of your question, there's two things going on at once, I believe. One is Coulter's lawyers trying to get clear title. The other is now that the money has been put into the account, $150,000 can be withdrawn for the engineering study.
That's correct. That's an agreement.
Much more detailed. And after that engineering study comes in and title is cleared, then they can get to actually moving construction.
Look, if anybody wants to read the agreement, send me an email. I'll bounce it to you. It's not a big deal. Okay. Hi.
Sorry, real quick question. While we're talking about property ownership and whatnot, can you give
us an update on the bridge that goes from the synagogue across
The bridge that crosses the North Canal going from Sheffield to the synagogue is closed off, and there's a reason for that. It's degraded to the point that I think it's unsafe. Also, again, it crosses property that belongs to no one and a defunct company. So,
So that's
I
all-
actually took the initiative several years ago of fencing that all off. That's another little problem we're gonna have to deal with. I have no doubt that the members of Anshe Shalom will want to have that restored. The question is who pays and how it's to be done. So I think they understand that we've got kind of a knot to untie before we can even get to that. And I know you guys hear from your members about that, because, you know, it was there for years, there for 50 years.
Okay.
Anything else, guys?
Thank you.
All right, thank you all.
All right, we'll hear from the officers. I'll start with Patricia.
No kidding. I'm not gonna tell them that I can't stand the buses. Good morning, how are you? We're working on a lot of issues with the buses. Donald is going to give me some proposals with other bus companies, so I can look into it. I don't think that, you know, people call me all the time. I'm not really in control of changing the routes. I know people think I am. I know we added some routes on, and that was because I got papers. The Hasidim were very good about it. They brought me a stack like this. I turned it over to the bus company like I do all complaints, and they decided to do something about it. Like the outlet was only on Friday, but they can't go on Friday, so now it's Monday to Friday. And some people wanted the bus to the church, and there was a lot of papers on that too. All I can do is take your complaints, your compliments, your suggestions, and forward it on to Academy. That's what I can do. Ultimately, what they decide to do, they decide to do. I'm not particularly thrilled about the company, and I hope that in the future you people are willing to spend a little more money to get a better company. So, for all of you that complain, and later when we tell you that there's a bus company that charges much more money, please don't come and complain again. I can't see who it is, whoever it is raising their hand.
Hi, Dave Fornes. Hey, Patricia.
Hi.
Is Academy providing us with any ridership numbers now? So we can, when we do move forward, maybe with the next bus company, we can decide, you know, how many.
They were taking account and then they stopped. They were giving me a monthly report and then they stopped. So in answer to your question, no.
Yeah, that, you know, obviously that for management's sake of whatever plus service we provide, having those numbers is critical.
Yeah, I think because it's the summer and a lot of people are not here, they told me they gotta pick it up again when we're in season, because there is a big difference. People are telling me about buses that have no one on it. They're not gonna take those buses away. There might be one person that wants to go shopping or waiting at the stop. How do you determine what buses to stop and what buses to go? You know, I know we don't have a lot of people here, and I've seen, but I ride the buses now myself, just to see what's going on. A lot of the complaints are legitimate, some, whatever. Any other questions?
Yes,
Anyone? Yes.
we had talked many times about having a machine inside the bus
Right.
that would keep track of how many people are riding and what
You're talking about
time.
the scanning, we talked about.
And nothing seems to have been done about it.
That's not true. You know, I like when everyone says nothing's being done about this, nothing's being done about that. You could come in and see all the emails I sent out and the calls that I make. We did have this conversation, and we had it at a meeting, and Omar said that it was much too expensive, they couldn't do it anyway. Isn't that correct, Donna?
Yes.
Okay, so if you know of a company that wants to give it a shot and it's pretty reasonable, let me know.
Well, all I know is that we have some history, and if I'm not mistaken, Mr. Israel's living in, and he's the one who brought it up that we've had that before. And then there was a question of how much it costs for the equipment, and someone said, find out. Well, the question is, I did find out. And it could be as low as $50 a month per bus.
When did you
That
find
will-
out and tell me? When?
I've said a lot of things and people just,
No, that's not true.
my job,
That's not
my
true.
my job was to bring it up. Someone else hasn't even looked at it. And there's such a variety of what you could put in and what you could expect. And the question is, how much or how little? We've talked about the
Okay,
fact that
excuse me.
people don't know if a bus isn't coming.
I understand that, but if you have that list and you said you sent it, I would love to see it.
No problem whatsoever.
Okay, you show it to me, I'll look at it.
You will
In
look
writing,
at
of
it.
course in writing. Everything
You will
has to
look
be
at
in
it.
writing, even complaints and compliments, we don't take it by phone call.
Voice is not the way. I will send you something in writing.
Absolutely, that's the way I could. I would like to see that.
No problem.
I never turn anything down from you, you know that. And
Good.
I don't fight with you either.
Okay.
I know, but you're still talking.
I just wanted to say, I think this is a topic that should be covered in the Transportation Committee, not here.
Why?
No, she's
Why?
right, no, she's right, because it's
Why?
not, this is.
You've discovered that 100 times in transportation and zero happens.
So,
It's not on the agenda, is what they're saying, and we'll talk it, my
Take it up
transportation.
a new business.
Okay, why haven't you attended my meetings? Come to the meeting and bring it up. I'm so happy, whoever wants to come, speak up, you know, absolutely, just let me know and I'll put it on the agenda. This isn't the place, and thank you, Bobby. Anyone else? Okay.
All right, so I'm hearing that Mr. Grossman may have done some research involving technology. What I would say is Mr. Grossman can bring whatever he has, whatever spec sheets, whatever on paper, get it to me. I'll get it out to the committee chairs and we'll go from there. All right?
Okay, Stuart, you're up.
Just an observation. Bobby Levin had introduced or brought in some worksheets on the upcoming elections for the new term of officers. And in the past, even at the beginning, we had lots of people coming into UCO and asking about the job and what's available and they want to run and so on. The interest in running for office has diminished so greatly here in Century Village, and it's a reflection of the population that we're having, and it's really very, very sad that people are living here but not concerned about what goes on and why we do things and so on. So I just want to take this opportunity to ask you to talk up to your friends and people in your building that the elections will be coming up, and please see if we can get more people interested in the various positions that are going to be available. It's not that we need new blood. What we need is just people who are interested in the welfare of their lives in Century Village, and by getting involved, we can keep our village at running at the rate it's running now, at a quality of life and so on. Because when you look around and you see the number of buildings and construction going on, it's slowly but surely beginning to encroach on all of the available land around Century Village, and we would like to at least maintain the quality of life here regardless of what goes on. So please ask those who want to run for vice president and any of the other jobs that are going to be available. Please encourage others to get involved. Thank you.
Joanne, you're up.
Laura has her hand up.
Oh, I'm sorry, I didn't hear you.
No worries. Just to speak to that, I know I work every day, and it's difficult having meetings at 10 o'clock in the morning when I'm just getting to work at 8, have to leave for 10 at 9:30, and then come back at noon that's difficult. If we could possibly have a conversation about potential quarterly evening meetings or delegate meetings every now and then, they're at night, people may show an interest, but like I said, when people are at work, they can't take time off to come to meetings and get involved. It's not that they don't want to.
I'm sorry, I think the schedule has to stand the way it is.
Of course.
Okay, it's as the steward said, the population has changed. We have people in their 70s and 80s that are still working, and this is a retirement community, and you're
It's
here.
55.
I
Sorry to
understand.
interrupt. It's
Okay.
55.
Fine.
And
If
we would
we
like to get
appreciate
involved.
that you can come to when you come. That's it. Joanne, please.
Mr. Chair,
I have Joanne. She's being recognized.
yes. Originally, when I came here, the meetings were at 10 o'clock in the morning. And with the number of meetings that are scheduled, I found that if the officers are attending meetings at 10 to 11 to 12, how much can they really do on their regular work? And so, quite frankly, I said we should have it after business hours as far as UCO is concerned. So I don't know if there's any exact solution, but basically, I agree. If you're working, and a lot of people just don't want to get involved anymore because the penalties for volunteers have become very severe.
Joanne, please. Thank you.
Thank you. On a much lighter note, I've recently taken over control, and it's just a little bit at a time, of the 3 TV stations in Century Village, 590, 91, and 92. On the weekends, I started out with classic movies. So from 9 p.m. on Friday night until midnight Sunday night, there are classic movies showing, and that's a start. Start incorporating different pieces of information. I want to get everything that's happening here at the clubhouse on the TV so that at any given time, if you want to know what's going on at Hastings or here, you'll have a place to just turn on your TV and find out what's happening.
What are those channels again, please?
590, 591, and 592.
Thank you.
And 592 is where you're going to find the classic movies at the moment. We're going to probably expand that a little bit more because I'm getting a lot of real good feedback. So anyone who has any suggestions, please stop by the office and talk to me. We're going to launch an email address. I want to test it out, make sure it's good. So by the time people are coming back for season, I hope to have a really robust, plate of things going on those stations. So we're in the development phase, but it's going really well. That's my report.
Thank you, Joanne. David, you're up.
Good morning. Just a reminder that next Friday is Delegate Assembly. And if you have updated officers and delegate sheets, they have to be turned in by 12 o'clock next Wednesday. And that's everything for me. Thank you.
Thank you, David. Ed, Treasurer's Report.
Good morning again, and I hope this is considered a treasurer's report, financial. Coming up at the next finance meeting is scheduled for the construction of the budget for next year. And we all know of the different problems that have been faced in the past and what we face now as far as inflation. Last year, I had an email go out to various chairs as to what they think they would need to operate in the next year. That'll go again. However, I intend to send out a much larger mailing that anybody can come up with some suggestions as far as increasing or decreasing what we're facing. I find, which was a problem in the past, is a problem now, and that is our budget is scheduled for before the end of the fiscal year, and major items come up after the fiscal year. Now, one of those items which is still here and shows itself this year is the fact that insurance, which is going nuts, is the item that's putting us in the red every single month. Now, what can you do about it? They don't even know when they're gonna get the numbers if you look at this year. So the only way to cover it is maybe what you think is over budgeting, but may not be. I will contact, which I did before, Mr. Massey, who's the main man with our current broker, and get for him, which I got in the past, his best estimate of what it's going to cost us. But I also want to ask him one other question. Are we overinsured? Should we have a first loss greater? Because it seems there's no end to how much more we're going to be paying for insurance. And with the current average sales that have been going on, which are twice and sometimes 3 times greater than they were in the past, I think we could expect a large increase. So that's only one of the problems. I invite anybody who has any suggestions, good, bad, or indifferent, more or less, kindly send them to me. Most of the emails I get is edwardrgrossman@gmail.com. I invite everybody, give me your suggestions, because we will try to incorporate, and have a great day.
Donald?
Hello again, Board. I just want to remind everyone that this organization has a insurance committee headed by a licensed insurance professional. Any questions or concerns regarding insurance should be routed through that committee chair. And certainly anything that, as far as direct contact with the treasurer to our carrier, that will be routed through our insurance professional. That's Tony Salamito. So just so everybody knows. Thank you.
Can we hear from David?
I would just say, Donald, that our chair gets her information from Phil Massey.
That's correct.
Okay. So now Phil is not the only insurance broker in the world. Maybe
Again, Mr. Grossman, this is business for the insurance committee.
This
headed
is
by a insurance licensed professional. It's really not appropriate conversation for this meeting.
That's your
Yes,
opinion.
Richard. Yes, it is.
Anything has to do with money is
Hi, Richard.
something I talk about.
Go for it, Richard.
A member of the insurance
Speak
committee.
into the mic, Richard.
Is it on? Okay. As a member of the insurance committee, I invite Mr. Grossman to attend the next meeting.
All right. Hey, listen,
Thank you.
we're trying out some new things. We weren't really successful today, Joanne and I, but I'm sure you see Dave here. Dave, you want to say hello to everybody? Hold on, this is a test.
Hold on.
He's talking, but we can't hear him.
Okay, hang on.
His lips are moving.
I couldn't
No,
just-
He's sitting in a chair, but you can see him.
Hey, Dave, if I think you're muted, so to unmute yourself, they'll hear you.
Oh, yeah, I've seen him at Zoom meetings.
Well, just wave. Wave to everybody.
You didn't hear him? You have to have my hearing.
And despite what most people think, I don't have telepathic communication with Dave. I actually have to talk. Thank you, Dave.
Do we have any old business? Any old business? One more time, any old business? Terrific. New business? Any new business to be brought forth? Okay, go ahead, Bobby.
I could use some
You got two microphones over there.
Oh, I've got one here. Go ahead.
Okay, I just want to make a few additional remarks following what Stuart said about the elections. The elections will take place at the delegate meeting in March. I know that sounds like it's very far away, but in fact, we start getting out the information in November, and November is not that far away. Everybody on the board will get a letter telling them, reminding them that their term of office is up or their term of office is continuing. I'm going to read off the names of the people on the executive board who were elected last March. Their terms will run through February 2025. In other words, these people will not have to run again. If you don't hear your name, your term is up. So continuing will be Ruth Dreiss, Maureen Debeguer, Joyce Reese, David Fornes, Richard Handelsman, Laura Hanley, Kate Benoit, Jackie Carlin, Gloria Tart, Jeffrey Skeen, and Kelly Jansen. So if you didn't hear your name read, your term is up, and please think about whether or not you want to run for re-election. We also will be electing a new president, 2 vice presidents, corresponding secretary, recording secretary, and treasurer. There's a lot of people we need to run Century Village, and like Stuart said, this is serious business. Think about it.
Kelly, you had your hand up.
Yes.
You got a mic up here.
Thank you. I want to ask that a new committee be created called the Board Synergy Committee.
Explain what it
Yeah, so yeah, so synergy means collaboration.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Good word.
Yeah, so the meeting minutes for the last officers meeting, Stuart Richland stated that new owners and renters are not being educated by the prior owners or boards, and they are coming into UCO. This board really wants to address that and fix that. So the board's vision is that every association has a well-informed and capable board. The scope would be to create or collect documents, procedures, and best practices to help the board meet the unit owner's expectations, and 2, documents, procedures, and best practices to help the board meet their fiduciary responsibility. Out of scope would be legal advice, and right now we see our deliverables as a new unit owner welcome kit, for the association. I know there's one for WPRF and UCO, but I think the gap is the associations. A new board member welcome kit, letting the new board member know what they're responsible for and providing them with good information, and then a board member's roles, responsibilities, and expectations. So, Marilyn and I kind of informally started this 2 meetings ago. We've met 5 times. We're growing through word of mouth, and we're actually expanding our weekly meetings to 90 minutes because we're making such good progress. So I don't know what the process is and things like that, but.
Hi, Kelly, and just so you know, I did see your email and read it. I just haven't had a chance to respond. I apologize.
No worries.
What I was going to respond was if you could just create a mission paper, basically, and send it to me. I'll get it out to the officers, and we'll see what we can do. And I see you've addressed the issue of that we can't give legal advice with, you've read our bylaws, so you know that UCO are prohibited from interfering in the self-governance of the associations unless invited to by the majority of the board. So definitely something to talk about. Now we do have something
along the lines of what you've described that was kind of went by the wayside during COVID, and that's the President Coffee Hours, which I felt was a very good forum because you got 10 randomly selected board presidents in our conference room. Dave would give a report, but then they would talk to each other. And what you find is that whatever problem you have, you're not unique. Others have the same, and they just tell each other how they handle the problem. So that might be something we might consider reviving in the near future. Thanks, Billy, appreciate it.
Yep.
A suggestion that I have is if you're going to put this committee together, you should ask from input from the officers of the associations. Keep a track of who's coming to the meeting and who's giving input and what paperwork you're giving them.
Yeah, I have all that. So I publish meeting minutes every meeting.
I know, but that's your meeting. You need to address it to the officers, that you will find that the majority are not here, are not willing to come, and don't want to help. We go through this, and it's a great idea, and if it works, my hat's off to you. But we address this every single day, where people, a perfect example is for the buildings that allow rentals. All the offices disappear when a rental certificate extension needs to be given out. They're all on vacation, they're all out of the country, they're all in outer space, and you have a renter that's walking around with or without a lease, and no one in the building to help them. Now, I know of at least 2 instances where these individuals, one individual, this is on his 3rd month, is paying $10 to get an ID for 2 weeks because the board is non-existent and will not give him a certificate of occupancy. And that's disgraceful.
Okay,
So-
whose
so-
fault is that, or is that maybe the
Well,
owner's fault?
So Marilyn, it's not,
It's the fault of the board not being there. There's no one in the board to accept the lease and give the extension to the rental.
How about the manager?
Well, we suggest that they go to the management company. 9 times out of 10, the officers that are not there will accept the management company to do it. But there is always that little percentage that say, no, we're in charge. When we get back, we'll take care of it. And these are the items that you're going to face. Go ahead, Kelly.
yeah, so Faso, I didn't quite follow. So when you said I need to educate the officers, I thought you were talking about
Not us.
the VPs.
The building, you need to
Yeah,
invite
definitely.
the officers of the building to your meeting.
So our plan is, once this becomes an official committee, we want to publish in the newspaper and invite everybody. We're kind of waiting for this step.
All right.
But it is spreading through word of mouth.
It's a good thing.
Anybody's welcome.
Dan, you have your hand up.
Yeah, just the answer to educating the associations or the boards. We have the lawyers that do it all over the place all the time. So I get from our lawyers, from whatever, to certify and educate the board. It's free and it's about 3-hour course, all over the place, all the time.
Dan, how does that help an officer not living in the building or not being here?
No, but he was talking about educating. If somebody
You're
doesn't
talking-
want,
So that's great education, and I encourage everybody to do it, but I don't think it helps with the day-to-day running.
Right, exactly.
Yeah.
There was another hand up, Maureen.
If there is such a committee that's being formed or has been formed, I have no idea. I'm on my building, I'm the treasurer, I had no idea about it. And I would like to be on that committee because I do know a lot of things about things. And may I finish, please? Thank you. I suggest that we bring it up at the next week's delegate assembly when most of the officers have signed in and are there. Perhaps that's just a suggestion.
All right, Maureen.
Thank you.
I'm just going to respond real quick. It sounds like a number of concerned unit owners have formed an informal discussion group, which is a good thing. What Kelly's proposing is to fold this into becoming an ad hoc committee of UCO, meetings at UCO, using UCO resources. This is something that has to be done a certain way, and I see your hand, Richard. I know that you are the advisory committee chair.
But this is something that Kelly's gonna take lead on. He'll prepare a position paper, and it'll go through the officers, the executive board, and then, if appropriate, to the delegate assembly. Let's not jump our procedures here. Sounds very nice, but let's do it the right way.
Exactly, thank you.
Richard, go.
What you said is true according to the bylaws. The president or the delegate assembly has a say on forming a committee, standing or ad hoc. A president forms a committee, then it expires with him. But if the delegate assembly establishes a committee, it will decide if it's ad hoc with a term limit or permanent. So it goes through, put it through the steps and bring it to the delegate assembly.
Sounds good. Thank you, Richard.
When the time comes. Good of the order. Anything for the good of the, yes, Jerry?
Got it.
I have a couple of things. First of all, I guess on behalf of all of us, it's nice to see Dave on the screen, and we wish him a complete and speedy recovery as things continue on.
How's he look?
Good. Okay. I don't know how many of you had a chance to watch Phil Massey's webinar this past week, but if you didn't, I found it to be quite informative. And basically, the word has to go out to everyone, not only the 3-story buildings, but the 2-story buildings. There are going to be some really, I wouldn't say drastic, but serious financial implications to the new laws that were passed. And the time to start planning for that is now. And he kept on stressing that at this webinar, because there are going to be 8 separate budget line items that you're going to have to deal with. This right now is talking with the 3-story buildings and 4-story buildings. It's going to come to the 2-story buildings also at some point, but the fact of the matter is, you can't wait for 2024 or 2025. You've got to start planning for it now. And another thing that Phil said, as far as insurance is concerned, he's having a webinar, I believe, on August 29th at 11 o'clock. Tuesday, which is going to discuss what might be happening with our insurance. I foresee a big insurance increase based on what he has been saying and he said on the webinar. I just think it's a very serious matter, and people cannot take this thing lightly. You're talking about hitting people up who may not be able to afford it, but you're talking about a substantial increase in the cost of living here at Century Village based on these new laws that were passed up in Tallahassee. So it's really something that the word has to go out. Really, it has to go out. Plan now. Do your due diligence now, because if you wait till the last minute, it is going to cost, and it's going to cost a lot.
But all at once.
Timber
All right, Jerry, just so you know, I think you and several others asked if we could see a recording of that meeting. I just got an email from Phil. Yes, we have a recording. We're going to get it up on 590. We're going to get it up on the blog so we can read it and send it out.
Oh, I watched the whole meeting, so I don't need the recording.
I got a few calls. I wasn't able to go. Can I see it? So he says, yeah, no problem. So those recordings will be up there, and we'll publicize them.
Okay.
More people.
I have 2 more quick points.
Hit it.
One, those of you who use Seacrest Services, I hope you're aware that Andy Rosen, who does our budgets, is retiring.
Yes.
I do not know, personally, I do not know who his replacement is.
Her name is Shanice.
Shanice, but that's something also you need to think of in the future. And for those of us here in the room who are celebrating the Jewish New Year in another couple of weeks, I want to wish everybody a happy, healthy, and sweet New Year's.
Same to you, Jerry.
Richard, go ahead, you got your hand up.
Jerry, I hope a week from now you give the same speech at the delegate assembly.
If I'm here, I will.
Okay, if you don't, I will,
Okay.
because even if the state does not yet require 1- and 2-story buildings to undergo these changes, insurers, reinsurers of those insurers, and bank lenders and mortgages, real estate transactions, they are all going to want to see the paperwork, not mandated by the state, but by them. And as Jerry said, and Mr. Bunker said, eventually the state will mandate all this. So get going now.
Like one of the things that Phil said at this webinar was the electrical systems, the boxes, the insurance companies are now going to be looking at your boxes and your circuit breakers, and a lot of them are the original, which are they're not coded anymore. So this
We've
could
done
be
it
a
20
big
years
problem down the road once again.
We've done it.
For those of you that did not attend the last legal update that, when we had it downtown, the gentleman that was giving the presentation, a lot of the buildings, some of this stuff was brought, oh, we're a two-story building, we're not included. So they changed the law to the square footage of living space. So it doesn't matter if you're a one-story or two-story building, if it fits into the square footage, you're going to have to do the updates. You had your hand up, ma'am.
Yes.
I just wanted to share, the legislative delegation meetings are gonna be starting in Palm Beach County, so that's the time to voice our opinions. If we wanna create a statement or whatnot, it's all of our legislators from Palm Beach County, and the more that they know our issues and problems, because a lot of the areas don't have our issues and problems, so they aren't aware, that's the time to do it. They start in October, so if you all wanna get together and do something at that, I'd be more than happy to assist.
Anything else for the good of the order? Going once, going twice?
I make a motion to adjourn.
Thank you.
Thank you, everyone.
See you next Friday.
Thanks, Dave.
Looking good.
They can buy it. They can do that. That's bullshit.
We don't have it.
Richard?